Tonight on Geek Tank, the Franklin Mint.
Geek Tank.
Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. You got just one ring that'll rule them all. Hoopy fruit, remember your towel. Get your Uru hammers and your needler guns, a sonic screwdriver or a sword plus one. Use Valerian steel if it'll get you to come to the Geek Tank. To the Geek Tank, the Rocky Mountain Geek Tank.
Hi there, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm filling in today for Troy, who is away, and I'm from Collector's Catacomb.
Yep, and this is Geek Tank for the week of July 7th, 2014. Or is it July 9th? I think it's July 9th. July 9th of 2014. And since we're all filling in for Troy, and he's the one who keeps all of our time, that's why I think it's the 7th and it's not. Okay, we're going to go on ahead and go into Working for the Geekin'. Working for the Geekin'. This is where I tell you all about all the things that are coming up that are geeky this week and all kinds of stuff. So it looks like we're having a little bit of an 8-bit renaissance this week as we have a number of old school games coming out. The first one on July 9th is Tarion Saga. Tarion Saga. A Steam game in which players take control of a misfit military drone as it gains sentience and grows a conscience after being activated for war. Sounds interesting, actually. I'm making kind of fun of it, but it does sound interesting. On July 10th, we have Quest for Infamy, coming also for the PC platforms. It's a successful Kickstarter from 2010 that was funded, and now they're actually ready to release it. Quest for Infamy is a classic point-and-click RPG adventure game in the tradition of the early King's Quest and Space Quest games. On July 14th is Light, which is also for PC platforms. It's where you can hack terminals and hide bodies in this stealth game from Just a Pixel. I'm not sure what hacking terminals and hiding bodies has to do with one another, but hey, I'm all for this. In movies, we have a real big one opening up this week. On July 11th is the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. A growing nation of genetically evolved apes, led by Caesar, is threatened by a band of human survivors of the devastating virus unleashed a decade earlier. They reach a fragile peace, but it proves short-lived, as both sides are brought to the brink of war that will determine who will emerge as Earth's dominant species. This week at the Alamo Draft House, they will have the Princess Bride quote-along. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And, as we have alluded to last week, Legendary Pictures has confirmed that Pacific Rim 2 is now slated for April 7th, 2017. Got a long ways to go. Some other news to note, Magic the Gathering's M15 pre-release is happening all over the city this weekend, which should be way awesome for you Magic players. And the Buntport Theater is going to show the original Friday the 13th on Bloody Sunday, which will be cool to see. And Cosplay in Colorado continues their work this week, this Saturday at Skylight Station from 4 to 6 p.m. Finally, the Denver Film Society and the Denver Natural History Museum are teaming up for a science fiction film series, which is kind of cool. The series will have an introduction from a real scientist before screenings of various science fiction classics. Starting tonight, they will be showing Upstream Color, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Alien, and Gravity, which I also will be reviewing as one of the segments later on down the road. The movies will be showing at C Film Center and are $15 for tickets. And that's all I've got for this Working for the Geekendness. And now what we're going to do is go for a new special segment for you, which is where we're going to have Maia talking about the Book of the Geek. Geek. And we'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Maia. Welcome to Book of the Geek, a segment where we talk about books. The first book I'll be talking about is a review of Kim Stanley Robinson's 2312. Kim Stanley Robinson is known for sweeping science fiction epics like Red Mars, Green Mars, and Blue Mars. His books usually contain environmental issues, social issues. They often span several centuries. All of those elements are present in his most recent book, 2312. 2312 is the story of Swan Hong, who's from Mercury and is investigating some issues involving quantum computers throughout the solar system. It seems to be Kim Stanley Robinson's essay on the nature of love. It won a Nebula Award in 2012, but frankly, I'm not sure why. I didn't really enjoy this book. Swan and her partner just don't interest me. They're neurotic and damaged, but not in ways that forward the story. There's not a lot of tension until the very end, and even then it didn't really seem engaging. It was one of those books that when I finished reading it, I put it down and said, well, finally. If you've read Kim Stanley Robinson's work before and are a major fan, then you should probably read this book. But if you've read any of his books and weren't that impressed, don't go for this one. Try the Mars series or The Years of Rice and Salt, which is possibly the best book of his I've ever read. I'd give 2312 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite books, Stephen Brust's The Phoenix Guards. The Phoenix Guards is one of those books that when I have to stay home from work sick or when I'm depressed, I'll get it out and read it again, and it never fails to cheer me up. I first tried to read this book when I was in high school, and the wordiness and the odd style of the writing really threw me off. I put it down without finishing it. But later, when I had read some of Brust's other work, such as Jereg and the work that follows it in the series, I was so impressed that I wanted to read all of Brust's work, and I gave The Phoenix Guards another chance. With some more maturity and a much bigger vocabulary, I was able to really enjoy the book. The Phoenix Guards is an homage to Alexander Dumas's The Three Musketeers. It's done in a respectful way that isn't derivative, is different, but obviously shows Brust's love for Dumas's work. In fact, it's because of this book that I went back and read The Three Musketeers and many of Dumas's other works. The Phoenix Guards follows Kavrin, who is a young man in Brust's world of Dragera. Most of his books are set there. It's a very well-realized world with history spanning 200,000 years, a lot of detail, and fascinating characters. What I love about the Phoenix Guards is the way that Stephen Brust plays with words while he's writing. You know, he doesn't say, I have something to tell you. He makes it into a paragraph, and somehow that's not boring. You have to read it to understand. The Phoenix Guards is just a really excellent piece of fiction, and I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys well-written, if wordy, literature. Next up on my reading list is Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick, the author of something you may have heard of, The Invention of Hugo Cabret. What I'm excited about reading in Brian Selznick's Wonderstruck is the way he incorporates visual elements into his story. Next week I'll tell you all about it. See you next time on Book of the Geek.
Okay, we're back. Thanks, Maia. She's such a wonderful lady.
She really is.
I should just marry her.
I
That's
thought
what
you
I think.
already were.
Oh, there you go. That explains a great many things. Like why I think she's so cute. Jeez.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to this next segment here. I wanted to talk a little bit. I saw a news report, and I'm actually going to explain a little bit about this, about a girl named Katie Goldman. Katie Goldman, in 2010, she was a 7-year-old girl. And she was going to school, and she had a Star Wars thermos that she had bought. She was very proud of this thermos, and it was very cool and everything like that. And her mom had bought it for her along with her other Star Wars paraphernalia because she's a real Star Wars fan. She took that bottle to school every day. And all of a sudden one day she came home and she wanted a pink bottle. And her mom, her ears perked up. What's going on? Her mom's a writer, so she was blogging about this whole thing. It turns out that she was being bullied because Star Wars is a boys' thing and not a girls' thing. And so her mom starts blogging about this, and of course, the wonderful thing, we got to give props. She reported it to the school. The school started to put a kibosh on the whole thing and everything like that. But it did become a rallying cry for the geek community. Shortly after that, now, first of all, it also should be noted that Katie has a lot of things. She's an adopted child in a family full of biological children. And she had an eye patch and was wearing glasses, because it's, she's 7. She had to have corrective lenses.
Sure.
So she was already kind of feeling a little behind the gun anyway. But then this whole fiasco sort of happened with her thermos. And she became very upset. And so the mom's blogging about this. And an interesting thing happened. So the geek community kind of picked up on it. And first, Catherine Tabor, who's the voice of Padme in the Star Wars animated series, took the flag. And she had said she was a Trekkie when she was a kid. And back when of course she's probably just a little after my age, but when she was in high school, she was just beaten because of her Trekkiness. And girls shouldn't be Trekkies, and Trekkies are bad anyway, and that kind of miserable stuff. So she took the flag, and she started rebroadcasting the mother's blog, and everybody started to pick up on it. The hashtag May the Force Be with Katie started showing up on social medias, and geeks everywhere started wearing glasses that looked like Katie's glasses to show support.
Yes, of course.
Think Geek, which is a retailer that sells geeky things, sent her a lightsaber. And then all of a sudden, Ashley Eckstein, who voices Ahsoka Tano, sent her Universe clothes, which are these geeky. Her Universe is a clothing manufacturer that makes geeky stuff for women, tailored for women. So T-shirts that are tailored properly. Then Tom Kane, who is the voice of Yoda, escorted her to a showing of the Clone Wars near her house. And this didn't just end there. So, Carrie Goldman then writes on her blog, she says, what strikes me is how these individuals who were once so isolated are now part of a very tight community. They've found each other, they are plugged into each other, and they have each other's backs. Now they have Katie's back, too. And I thought that was so great.
It is great. That's moving.
It really is.
When you see this little girl, or even thinking, because I was not aware of any of this. But
yeah, I'm telling him for the first time. I kind of sprung it on him.
But
we do that in our shows now.
We do.
Spring things on each other.
I love spontaneity.
Yeah.
But you can feel such empathy for her, because we all think back when we're children. I had to wear glasses myself at 6 years old.
Sure.
And in the early 70s, they were Coke bottles.
Right.
They didn't have fashionable glasses then. And we all
Luckily,
kind of can relate
I don't
to
wear
that.
glasses.
No.
Anyway.
But we all kind of can relate to that,
Yeah.
and it's an awkward sort of place.
It is.
And it can influence you for the rest of your life. And somehow, the scars of childhood, they're healing these potential scars.
Well, and it's the community. I think that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing. So the story doesn't end there. Because this was 2010. Mm-hmm. Recently, Katie wanted to dress up as a stormtrooper. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know how to go about it. So, Carrie Goldman, her mom, started putting out kind of the word, and the 501st Legion picked it up. And that's the people who do screen accurate stormtrooper armor and everything like that. And they raised a fundraiser for her and built her 11-year-old armor that's for 11-year-olds. So she could go and do all of these things. And her mom writes, Katie rocked that armor at her school's Halloween parade, and again while trick-or-treating, and in spring at the Purim Carnival, and summer at Star Wars Day in Juliet. So Katie ultimately outgrew her armor, and now, because she's a growing kid,
Sure.
we all do. And so the amazing things haven't stopped there. Now she's actually donated her armor to another girl who was being beaten for where she had a Spider-Man lunchbox that she took to school, and she was actually beaten for it at one point in time. So another 11-year-old has inherited the Stormtrooper armor, and now it's kind of like an icon.
Absolutely.
Is this, girl-sized, 11-year-old girl-sized Stormtrooper armor, which is of course screen accurate but scaled down.
I think that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, if you want to find Carrie Goldman's blog, it's at www.chicagonow.com/portrait-of-and-adoption, because her whole blog was about adopting Katie and became about this. So yeah, it's all right here. I've got the whole thing for you, or we maybe can get right here and do something great about trying to get a link going. We're still working on the link thing, so give us some time. So we're running really short on time. I'm watching our clock tick down over there. We're way off here. So let's go do Springs, and we'll be right back.
I threw an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where.
First and only pewter replica of the Starship Enterprise. Authorized by Paramount Pictures. Masterfully crafted by the Franklin Mint. Accented in 24-karat gold and fiery red crystals. Precisely and logically modeled from the original, this is an exact scale reproduction of the Enterprise as seen in the TV series and authenticated by Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek. The official Starfleet markings on the main saucer section that houses the bridge, where Captain Kirk takes command. The warp engines. And the shuttlecraft bay. So real, you can imagine it journeying to strange new worlds. Each starship is cast in solid pewter, hand-finished to refine every fascinating detail. Then hand-polished to a rich metallic luster. 24-karat gold electroplate accents the main sensor array. The nacelles glow with red crystal cabochons. The Enterprise, exploring the universe, making it safe for future generations. The Romulans fought to capture her. The Klingons fought to conquer her. To order yours,
Call 1-800-453-2900.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
That was great.
and we're back. Okay, so, hi, we're back. Now, what we're going to talk about today, our big topic, of course, is the Franklin Mint, which is such an amazingly incredible thing. And it's got such a collector's aspect to it, but it's also got a very geeky aspect to it. And so I like to kind of bring in both. That's why we have Chris here
Absolutely.
to bring this in. So why don't you lead us out?
Well, Guy, what I have always loved about the Franklin Mint, number one, is the quality of their productions. Everything is of first class rate. It's amazing quality. All made in this country, by the way. But they appeal to a wide range of individuals. Not just sci-fi lovers, comic lovers, but traditional art lovers, circus lovers, you name it. And what I've brought today is one of their earliest manufacturers in the collecting field, in the three-dimensional field, and it's known as the Silver Circus. And it is entirely silver with gold accents, vermeil, and it was designed completely by the great Russian artist, American Russian artist, Sasha Brostov, who lived in California. And he based these designs on traditional Russian figures and artistry. So you'll see these flowing manes of the horse and the lion, this butterfly maiden who is amazing. Again, they have a very kind of European look to them.
Yeah, the
and
clown's kind of scary.
The clown is a little bit scary, and the ringmaster who holds this whip has this wonderful, wonderful look of Eastern European artistry and painting. But what was interesting about this set is it was introduced in 1976, so it's quite a long time ago, and they were issued at $190 per figure.
Wow.
And offered one every 2 months. Now, that was a lot of money in 1976.
Yeah, it is.
So, interestingly enough about the Franklin Mint, they only produce the quantity that they get orders for.
Right.
So it's very, very limited. If they get only 100 orders, that's all there ever is.
Right.
And they don't even make it until the orders are placed and paid for. So there were 711 sets of these things issued in 1976.
Wow.
Now,
that's it, huh?
That's it worldwide. Now, they were issued in these beautiful boxes, too, which I think are amazing, Guy. All lined with velvet and really beautifully produced.
Man, those are so pretty.
They really, really are.
It should be noted that, of course, the whole thing here is he's from the collector's show, so he's really into the collection aspect of this. And there is a real collectability to all of these things.
Absolutely. If this had to be produced today, this set, each figure would cost around $900 today to produce and offer for sale.
That's incredible.
Each figure.
Incredible.
So that would bring the cost of an entire set, around $5,000 or a little over. It's so beautiful. It is really highly sought after, too. And after all these years, it's still, who doesn't love a circus as a child? We all do. So.
Right.
And I did. And I kind of just relive it every time I look at it. So
it's incredible.
Wonderful detail, yeah.
So we've been talking about this beautiful circus. And over here, then, of course, I've got other things from the Franklin Mint. It's very geeky. I've got, of course, the Star Trek tridimensional chess set, which is an amazing set that my father actually bought for me, and I'm so glad to have it. And it's kind of got some weird, I don't know. Anyway, I'll work on that.
It takes my breath away, that set.
It's a beautiful set. It's got, of course, got the Delta on it, and then, of course, and you have to understand how to play tridimensional chess, which is really complicated. But, hey, Vulcans win all the time. But another piece that I've got is this Daedalus warbird from Next Generation, and it's a beautiful gold. I mean, they've dulled out the hull so that it doesn't shine like yours, but it's got this gold inlay on the front and the bird and on the warp nacelles, and it's got little jade crystals of some sort in the front of the Bussard collectors. And I just think it's such an incredible thing.
It really is. The gold is almost burnished on these,
almost, yeah.
Which is amazing.
It is.
And they do use gold. It is.
Yeah, it's real gold.
Yeah,
it's real gold. So the question that I always have is, why does it feel like this is not worth as much as that? And that's been my question that sort of burns at my soul here. Why is it that I don't feel like this is worth as much as that?
Guy, I think in a way that has to do with people's perception of sci-fi related objects as toys.
Yeah.
They're not considered, which is erroneous. It's not true. They're not considered true art or true collectibles or true... they're not worthy of merit in the collecting field.
Right.
But that's crazy. Clearly, when this is so stunning, and it is, like I say, it took my breath away, it's certainly worthy of collecting. And it certainly takes anything sci-fi related out of the realm of a toy.
Yeah, it really
I
does.
would not let a child play with that.
I wouldn't either. And the detail on the Daedalus, I mean, when the little spinal mounts and all the lights are in there, and even inside here, and this is a beautiful piece, a Probert piece anyway. Andy Probert, who designed it. So it's amazing to me that that's the case.
It's so sculptural. I mean, that's magnificent. It would be beautiful. Any way you turn this, it's magnificent.
It is. It is.
So, and that, to me, is what was one of the things that makes a great work of art. No matter which way you turn it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's our thought. Well, we're going to go to This Geek in Space, and we'll see you in just a second.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Status check, pressurization. Rocks taking. Have a flight control level 1. You are go. Order systems, go. Range operation. Mercury capsule, go. All 3 star satellites are correct. The red light is on.
2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery.
This is This Geek in Space for the week of July 9th through the 16th. I'm Guy Davis. In local news, Uranus will be in Pisces this week, and the summer triangle, Vega, Altair, and Deneb, will be almost directly overhead for us northerners. And on Sunday, the moon reaches perigee, the closest point in its orbit, one day after the full moon. In orbital news, it's a big week for the little guys. Arianespace will launch a Soyuz O-3B F-2 rocket on the 10th from the Guyana spaceport in South America. Orbital Sciences will try again to put their Antares Orb-2 aloft on the 11th. Orbital Sciences created the Cygnus cargo ship, one of the numerous privately involved spacecraft replacing the shuttlecraft. And speaking of private companies, the big guy, SpaceX, is launching a Falcon 9 from Slick 40 in Florida. On July 14th, the Falcon will be putting an Orbcom communications satellite in orbit. Lots of orbs. At some point, Russia will attempt to relaunch their Angara rocket test flight, which got scrubbed last month. Moving on to system news. The solar wind held steady at 336 kilometers per second with a protonic density of 4.3. One near-Earth asteroid, 2014 MF6, will pass within 9.1 lunar distances today. And underneath Titan's ice sheet may lie a saltwater ocean, perhaps as salty as the Dead Sea. Researchers at JPL looked over 10 years of Cassini data to find the slowly crystallizing ocean. Finally, in interstellar news, look at this picture from the Hubble. Galaxy IC 5063 is spewing jets of molecular gas at over 600,000 miles per hour. And an important discovery this week when the Kepler Space Telescope found a frozen world orbiting a binary star. The world lay in the star's Goldilocks zone. Nearly half of the stars in the galaxy are binary stars, so this increases the chances of finding habitable life. And that's all I have for this week. This has been Guy. See you next time. Signing off. Okay, that's all the time we've got for today. Thank you so much for coming to us.
Thank you, Guy, for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Allowing me to fill in for Troy, and I hope you'll have me back.
Oh, of course we will.
Very soon.
Of course we will. You'll see him a lot. We love him.
My other show with Josh, Collector's Catacomb.
Yep. And join us next week on Geek Tank when we will talk with our guest Fred, who's going to talk to us about making games, which we think is kind of fun. And that's about it. That's all we've got, man. I've run out of pieces of paper to talk about. Okay. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. The same time, same YouTube. Goodbye.